So how does, I don't know, the spring training feel a little bit different? Last year you kind of came in a little bit later and new team. How does this year feel with your home team?
It feels normal, which is it's nice. Yeah, I was trying to think back through last year. It's like, where did I live? What did I do? And everything was kind of a blur. And it was, the 3 weeks. It's strange to condense everything down so quickly, and then to be back here and feel like you got a little bit of time, you got a little bit of a runway to get this thing going. The WBC is kind of working over here in the background. The season's over here, so there's a lot of things to be excited about. And, we're having a good time so far.
What can we be excited about when it comes to this bullpen this year? Because there's some new faces as well. What do you think we'll be able to see from this?
Well, I mean, we've got obviously the guys who came back from last year. It was one of the best bullpens in baseball. Has been for a few years running, and I think we take a lot of pride in that. But then to be able to add some key pieces. I look at Joe Jimenez and the tracker that he's had over the last few years. He's an all-star, and when he came over, I remember calling AJ Hinch, the manager over in Detroit, and one of my close friends, and just asking him, what should I expect? And he's like, you're gonna love him. He's like, he's gonna go out there, he's gonna post, he's gonna be great in the clubhouse, and he's lived up to all of that so far. Lucas Lugie, same thing. I called Garrett Cole and was like, tell me about him, tell me what I should know, and he's like, same thing. He's gonna go out, he's gonna play, he's gonna throw innings, he's gonna get everything you want done on the field, and then off the field and in the clubhouse, he's gonna be one of the guys you like. And so far, it's been great. I was just having a conversation with him in the training room now. But then, we've got, I look around at some of the young guys we have too, some of the guys that got a few innings last year, got a little bit of time under their belt, and just to be able to see them kind of grow up in front of your eyes is really cool too.
When does the identity start to build when it comes, because I feel like the bullpen has always been very close. We had the night shift, a couple years ago. So when does that start to build here with you guys? Does it start in spring, or is it more in the season?
It definitely starts now, but this is a marathon, and I think you like to get out of the gates quickly and get a nice pace going. But for us, it's hard to replicate being around somebody 8 hours a day for 8 months straight, And so for us, I think it's the repetition. It's kind of getting to know guys day in, day out, the conversations that have, the inside jokes that end up getting built. And by the end of the year, you realize you really have built a little family out there. And so, it starts now, and you want to get off on the right foot.
We've obviously been asking a lot of the pitchers about the rule changes and things like that. And actually, a minute ago, and Spencer the other day both said, you get late in the game and runners on, high tense situation. That's going to be when it's really tough. That's your entire job. How tough is it going to be for late inning relievers who always come in a lot of times with runners on in high leverage situations to operate with a pitch clock and with limits on stepping off, things like that?
So I think the ideal is that it becomes a non-issue, that you've had enough repetitions and made enough necessary adjustments kind of at this point in time in the year, so that when those late inning situations come and when the game's on the line and that clock is both here and there, it becomes something that's just in the background and not something that you're actively focusing on. But that means you got to actively focus on it now. We're seeing it out in bullpens. We've got the clock going. In our live BPs, we're going to have it going. And in the spring, when we get into game situations, it's going to be a kind of a dialogue between us and the umpires and the coaching staff, and figuring out what we need to do to make sure that we get that to a point where it's non-existent to us. And I think that's going to be okay. I really do at the end of the day. Do I want it? No. And if anybody asks me, I will be very clear with them that I think it's unnecessary. But that being said, I think that as baseball players, we're pretty resourceful, and we'll figure it out.
And why are you against it, I guess? Is it just you feel like it'll rush? Could it change the game a little bit? What's your concern with it?
Yeah, I think for me, I grew up watching baseball, and for me, the beauty of the game was kind of that one-on-one battle between a pitcher and a hitter. And, baseball, part of the beauty of it, I think, is the absence of the time constraint. We're not up against something. I remember listening to, I think it was Mario Cuomo said something back in the day about baseball, that it's a game that we're not under a clock. There's not anything preventing us from doing something ever more greatly. And I think that for us, we spend a lot of time executing pitch after pitch after pitch and making that our whole job. And to have something from an outside constraint pushing us to do something maybe even 5 seconds quicker, I understand the point of it. We're trying to increase the pace and make the game a little bit more, make the pace a little bit jumpier, a little bit more active. But for me, there's something about standing on a mound and looking at a hitter and looking at a catcher and being like, this is the only thing that matters in this 1 second. And having anything pull you away from that, I think it has the potential to distract a little bit from the really good stuff.
Do you feel like Kyle Wright doesn't get enough recognition after being the winningest pitcher last season?
I hope he does. I mean, I hope the league's taking notice, and I hope that they did last year, because I've been able to see him, for a year now go in, every fifth day, take the ball and do some really special stuff with it. Talent-wise, he's got everything that you want. From a makeup standpoint, he can get out there, and you just know that he's confident. And I wasn't around before this to kind of see that growth process, but to be able to see it now and see kind of the fruition of that feels really good. And I've been talking to him throughout the spring about kind of how to come back from that workload of a season. I remember as a starter early on in my career, trying to bounce back from almost 200 innings every year. It can be tough. So being able to make sure you're pacing yourself and doing the stuff that you need to get ready for that every fifth day is important. But man, the kid's got everything you want.
Who do you think can step up as a leader in this clubhouse with, Dansby Swanson guy? I mean, there are a lot of veterans in here, but who do you think can kind of take on a new leadership role?
Yeah, I mean, we've got veteran guys around. We're standing in Travis d'Arnaud's locker right now. He stands out to me as a guy who's really kind of a glue in this clubhouse in so many ways. And, age is not necessarily the defining factor of leadership in a clubhouse, and I've known that for years. And to see some of the young guys that we have be able to do what they've done so far and kind of handle themselves with the presence that they have. I look at Mike Harris, I look at Vaughn, and then like in the same group, you've got Arcia, who's, to me, I've seen him for my whole career and seen him be able to consistently go in and do the things that he does and be a presence in the clubhouse too. We've got Ozzie Albies is back this year, and to have him around, full time is going to be huge. So we've got a lot of guys in a lot of different roles, and I think everybody needs to know what is expected of them and to go out and do what they need to. And if we can do that, then the leadership will emerge as more organically.
And what does a successful spring training look like for you?
Health and readiness. Success will come if those two things are there.